Hello, Alessandrina here. And today I wanted to talk about our addiction to our negative thoughts and emotions and how to transcend this addiction that we have to our negative thoughts and emotions. So, you may have noticed in your life that there are some things that you do with a certain level of anxiety or anger or sadness or a certain energy that you hold when you're doing those things, whatever that might be. For instance, someone can have an interview and feel really anxious, or someone can be communicating to a certain person or people in general and also feel a level of discomfort or worry about their social image or anything else. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you may have created some associations, recordings about a situation, and then you replay it out, not allowing for something new to exist. So that process of living and experiencing life and different life situations with that degree of anxiety or worry or stress or any kind of negative emotions and the thoughts that come with them, meaning that when we're stressed, anxious, worried, or we feel negative emotions, we're also going to have thoughts associated with that. So it goes both ways. The thoughts feed the negative emotions, and ultimately, primarily, the thoughts are actually generated from the state of energy that you're in, from the emotions that you're in. So it's very important to work on both your thoughts and, of course, your negative emotions, and the way that those negative emotions are also embodied in your body. So paying attention to that process and realizing what it is in that moment that you're actually anxious about, what it is that you're actually worried about, what it is that you're stressed about, reacting to. Oftentimes what will happen is we'll feel the negative emotions and we'll think the negative thoughts and we'll feel the embodied experience within us, and that most likely will feel uncomfortable. And so we'll try to suppress it, we'll judge it, we'll try to essentially find a distraction away from it, repress it, and none of that is actually allowing us to resolve this pattern of negative emotions, negative thoughts. Only by actually sitting with the feelings, with the emotions, with the thoughts, and inquiring and becoming aware of what it is that you feel at the deepest level, what's generating the anxiety, the stress, the worry, not intellectually, not using your analytical mind, just allowing yourself to get in touch with the fear, whatever fear you have. So for instance, if someone feels anxious or nervous when they are going to have an interview, the energy, the fear, and they can be multiple fears, of course, is one of potentially failing the interview or being perceived as not good enough if they fail the interview, or being socially abandoned or criticized for not doing well in the interview, whatever that means, whatever we interpret about doing well in the interview. So when we can realize that at the core of our anxiety, at the core of our stress, our worry, or any other negative emotions that we experience and embody, that there's actually a fear underlying it, and that it's not a problem. The moment we judge fear, now we go into another reactive cycle to our fear. So instead of reacting to our fear and fearing having fear, which is often the case, we fear our own fears, when really our fears are just a result of our imagination. There is nothing that could ever happen to you that you've imagined in your fear, that would actually exactly happen the way that you imagine it and fear it. So that's very helpful, because imagining things and fearing things that might never happen, it's not useful. It's not a helpful way to essentially manage your life and your life results and your intentions. So if you can get in touch with the fears or the fear that is generating the feeling of anxiety, the feeling of stress, the feeling of worry, or any other negative emotions and negative thoughts that come up in those moments, then you can work with that energy. You can work with the fear. You can face it. You can be with it. And by facing it, for instance, using one of the techniques that Dexter and I recommend, which is a technique that was developed by John Jones, the I am my fear technique, or the who is it that fears, or who is it that feels any fear or negative emotion, and why. These techniques can truly help you to understand how the fear is being generated internally, how it's manifesting in your process of emotion, of thought, of energy, of embodied experience. And then by doing that, you're actually facing it. You're sitting with the feelings and the emotions of the fear, and then you can clear it. It releases from your system. The energy can move and flow. So the addiction to our negative thoughts and emotions is because we're conditioned to not actually face the fear, because we're conditioned to just react to our own stress, anxiety, and worry as if it was true, and then try to escape it, try to distract away from it over and over again. It just stays in a loop, and it never really gets completely resolved. And so the next time that a situation is very similar to the one where you've been habituated, conditioned into reacting with stress, worry, anxiety, whether you learned it from someone or you've practiced it, or in the collective consciousness you felt that energy and you resonated with it, and then you applied it to your own process of life. It doesn't matter the origin. What matters is that once you're conditioned, it becomes just like a reactive cycle. And the moment that you're in a situation that's similar, then that energy is going to flow in your system. It's going to, essentially, your brain is going to send the chemicals that and the hormones that are going to set your nervous system and your whole biology on a certain path, meaning a path of survival and reactivity, and that doesn't help. So that's the process of being addicted to our negative thoughts and emotions, and to our fear. And so when you start to use the processes that I mentioned earlier, the I am my fear, or the who is it method, then you can really get to the root, and you can start to liberate the energy, so that then that prior tendency to react and to continue to cultivate and to practice the same negative emotions and the same negative thoughts and energies, that gets resolved at the very root of it, at the root of the process, which is the fear. When you heal the fear, when you clear the fear, when you resolve the fear, then there's not going to be anxiety. There's going to be, in the present moment, the capacity to assess what is unfolding, how it's unfolding, and based on your intentions and what you're wanting to achieve in that moment, and being very consciously aware of what's available to you in terms of resources, you're going to be able to apply those resources to achieve your intentions and goals, and without fear, without being attached to it happening or not happening, and therefore being present to it and being able to navigate anything that comes up that might not be aligned and that you want to resolve in order to achieve what you want. I hope this is helpful, and that it gives you a a model of understanding of how to really manage and resolve negative thoughts and emotions, and resolve our addiction, our conditioned addiction to our negative thoughts and emotions without judgment. Sending you much love.